Today we are going to discuss one phenomena that many religious seekers are trying to attempt. That is about self-control. What do religious seekers want? It's not only religious seekers, but many others. They want passion control. Sex. Anger. They want to have control over these things. And then the next step, they want to have control over mind. From having few thoughts to having no thoughts. So they want to control their mind, passion, they want to control their mind. And through this they want to achieve happiness. So, let us examine these issues. These issues are important because so many people are after this. And it appears there are certain inherent contradictions in this aspect of self-control. Let us begin with sex control. What I think is that in this aspect of self-control, one part of the mind trying to control the other part. See, I want to be chaste versus I want to have sex. Why sex? Maybe think of a simpler example. Smoking. You can take an example that is relevant to your life rather than mine. Take a smoker. He doesn't want to smoke. He wants to control smoking. He wants to avoid smoking. How does he begin with? He stops smoking for a few days. He's happy. He thinks he has control. And then on 5th day he smokes. Collapsed. So, even after 5 days of smoking, he couldn't stop. 5 days of non-smoking. So next time, even if he doesn't smoke for 7 days, he will never be sure of himself that he will never smoke. So in the beginning, Man is this much and cigarette. But as he tries to stop smoking and as he fails in that process, man becomes weak. And cigarette becomes larger. What I want to say is that every time you fail, you become weaker and your habit becomes stronger. Because this one fragment trying to control the other fragment. It is this kind of division of mind into controller and the controlled is what is highlighted by J. Krishnamurti's philosophy. I am applying that. So, in the end, one becomes smaller and the habit becomes larger. If smoking is not something that you can visualize, imagine, you can think of trying to avoid sleeping or trying to avoid certain foods. Suppose you want to reduce salt intake and you want to control yourself. Before you want to control, salt is just one of the substances. But when you want to control and as you fail, then salt becomes a very big issue to you. Or you want to study hard, even sleep only for 4 or 5 hours in a day. Then as you want to control sleeping, then sleeping becomes very powerful and you become weak and you may start dozing at 10 p.m. in the night. So whatever you want to control, it becomes stronger. So many monks try to control sex. Gandhi tried to control sex. And he was never sure that he was in a position to control so much that when he was very old, he experimented with his nieces to see whether he was able to control. Of course, it appears he was pleased with the result. But sometimes he was not so pleased. He wrote articles in the newspaper saying that he had a wet dream and he lost something. So, this control orientation splits self or mind into two. The one who wants to control and the one who wants to pursue. The girls who want to reduce their size, want to be lean and lean. They want to control food intake. They reduce, but sometimes they fail, or when they are angry with themselves, so they eat it. And then after that they may even vomit. So, to such girls, eating becomes a punishment of themselves. Same thing for the smoker also. So, when you yield to what you want to control, you become weaker. And when you want to punish yourself, you take that as a habit and punish yourself. So this is all conflicting. So what does a person like Krishnamurti want? Observe division, that one wants to control the other, and observe that both are parts of oneself. that I don't want to smoke plus I want to smoke. All are parts of oneself. I don't want to have sex versus the desire to have. Parts of oneself. Observe, understand. And move harmoniously. Move harmoniously. No conflicts. But he's not saying you should indulge in it. He's opposed to repression. He's opposed to indulgence. This is the position Buddha took also. He called it middle path. Or at least something similar. So move harmoniously. Conflict free. Observe. Then that understanding may transform. I think this is a much saner approach to suppressing violence. So it means when you are angry, don't say, I'm not going to be angry anymore, I'm not going to be angry anymore. Just observe your anger and take it that your anger is a part, and what is not happy with anger is also a part of yourself. Understand? That is far more important. Similar thing can be said about thoughts also. Say you are studying and you don't want to be distracted by thoughts. If you say, I'm not going to be distracted, I'm not going to think about, I'm going to hard, then thoughts keep assaulting you. The better approach is, okay, invite them. Sit quietly. Listen to their noise. Maybe you can write about them. And then you feel better. That is acceptance. Invite them. Observe them. I think this leads to quietness. Not attempt to control it. Because what you want, that you want to control, and the thoughts are all part of you. So there is more quietness and more calmness, that much I can say. But will this quietness and calmness lead to zero thoughts? Probably no. That is a different issue altogether. That's a different issue. For mortals, this can do. Because for zero thoughts, which is a thought-free state, a different set of issues seem to be coming. That has something to do with the nature of I, the presence of I, dissolution of I, nirvana. So let us not talk about that. This much one is capable of, and quietness is capable of. And more importantly, suppressing thoughts is not the way. Okay. In this context, we can also discuss the concept of meditation. Meditation is of two types. One, by concentration. You are given a mantra. You repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. You are concentrating on mantra, and it is assumed that if you learn how to concentrate on mantra, you will also learn how to concentrate on other things, and one day your studies or any other thought. So people practice it for hours and hours and days and days. It may help, it does help. It may help. But nobody has reported that it frees oneself from thoughts. It lets you concentrate, but after that, distractions come. Maybe more practice only means that maybe more ability to concentrate, but it's not really freedom from thoughts. Another method Krishnamurti suggests by observation. I suggest this. Observe, invite. Here I want to add one more aspect. See, under meditation, people want to observe thoughts and work on them, whatever they want. But I think what is important is not to observe or not to focus on any thought, but first to focus on big thoughts. Big events and hurts. Focus on them first. Dilute them, hurt. And then go towards smaller events. I propose that. Something like Vipassana meditation doesn't do this. Vipassana meditation tells the people that observe your thoughts, but I am saying something different. First invite the big ones, observe them, process them. And then once the big ones are diluted, one can go towards the smaller ones. Because it is the big ones that take a lot of time and harass. But what kind of observation is this? Krishnamurti calls choiceless awareness. Choiceless awareness. Awareness is observation. Observation without the division of me and my thought. It is to feel the whole thing. Choiceless is added to it to suggest that don't say I should have only good thoughts and I shouldn't have bad thoughts. No. Don't label them. Don't say I should have this and not that. Choicelessly be aware of your inner moment in a conflict-free way. Krishnamurti says, this cleanses the mind. And he says, it empties contents of consciousness. It empties contents of consciousness. Consciousness, by that he means all kinds of things that we have about ourselves, our data bank. So this emptying the content of consciousness, Krishnamurti calls meditation. So he proposes a method of observation and more specifically choiceless awareness and emptying the contents of consciousness. It does help, makes a big difference. But I would say that instead of simply thinking about the event, you can even write about them. Sometimes writing is equivalent of many times thinking. It may help. Contents emptied. That's good. So, we are proposing methods that don't involve conflict. We are proposing methods that place one person in harmony and enables them to move from one state to another state where he learns. But all this may have nothing to do whatsoever with this. Don't think that if you do like this, one day you will make it. Don't have such an illusion.